Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna talk about the analysis of the 1.4 billion leaked passwords with an actual email address, and everything was in clear text. Now, I want to say I ran the actual machine learning program that I found to analyze the passwords. It took me around an hour and not that long, and I have a good look at least 5,000 different passwords so far. I took the liberty to open different kind of files, and I didn't record any of it on the video. Well, I'm not sharing that at all because that is, in a way, I would consider that very sensitive information, and I would probably break some kind of law somewhere in the world, and I'm really gonna do that. So I just want to talk about the actual analysis in this video. I want to talk about some recommendation about passwords, and this is actually just a lecture in the leaked password and the analysis of it. So let's get started with this lecture. So I want to talk about what is the fuzz all about. Now, why even bother looking into these breached passwords? Why even think that this is an issue? It's 4 or 5 years ago. Who cares? Yeah, I know, and that is actually a big concern that might. Some people might have that opinion, and but the problem is, and I'm going to get to that later in the slideshow here in the presentation, that we can use that for pattern recognition, so we can guess users' passwords based on what they have. So maybe let's assume that Bob got leaked his password and an email address at some point. We still need to figure out, what service that email address was used for, because you can, on Facebook, use a Gmail account to register. I did that, a long time ago. And you can also use other different kind of accounts for other different kind of services. And depending on that, you don't really know whether this is a Yahoo or Facebook or an AOL, that was difficult to say, .com account or something. We don't really know. So with that, we cannot really say that exactly where this password came from. It's just a compilation of a lot of different passwords. And I want to say that we can use that for credential stuffing and all these different kind of things. We're going to talk about that at a later stage in this video, of course. But the overall problem and the fuss about breached passwords that attackers can use this to, as I wrote, to gain unauthorized access, and maybe you got 5,000 different accounts from Facebook. Let's assume that 5% of those work. Now, what is 5% of 5,000, right? That's a lot of account. So I just want to say that maybe some of the people, and the majority, I hope all of them, but let's face it, they did not. I already created a few lectures for my own students about how insecure the password really is and how bad it is. And I'm really shocked about how bad people's passwords still are. I do not believe that they changed anything in the last 4 or 5 years, and I do not believe that people will change the way they create the password in the next 20 years. I just do not see that coming, because it's been a thing for like 30 years now, and maybe even more, and people still don't get it. They still are not educated enough. And the overall problem is that educations these days do not teach students good enough about awareness and cybersecurity, information security, what is leakage and breaches and all that kind of stuff. We need to get that into the educations, and we are doing what we can at the schools. I am doing what I can at my school. I'm using a part of a big sector project for the whole of Denmark about how we can get more security in the professional educations and the academic education. That's a really difficult thing to do. But let me just say, I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to continue doing it until it succeeds. So getting on to the next slideshow, what is an actual password? just to talk about that, because you all know that. Now, there's this thing you type on a web page, you get access to Facebook, to Twitter, to Instagram. Maybe you do not even type that anymore. You just click, authenticate. Click, I'm in. Use Google, use Facebook as my authenticate OAuth open, password. This is the way that most of you guys probably authenticate yourself to a new service, because when you can be lazy, you do it and just click it. That is also the better way of doing it. Now, let me be honest. I also do that, and you should do that. But what is a password? I need to understand the implications that passwords have. At some point, you do need to create a password. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. My overall, I'm not gonna mention what account it is, but I have one main account that I use for like the pinnacle of all accounts, right? That's like a 30 plus character password I have for that, and that's only stored in my head, right? Over the years and how the threats just grew in size, and more got hacked, and more got breached, and more got leaked, my password only became longer and longer and longer. And that is the effect that this increasing cyber threat will have. But will it have it on you? Will it have it on other people, right? Okay, so I think no. I say only for the educated, and this is why education is so important. So what is a password? What is a password? Now, maybe you probably say, yeah, it's still something that gives me access to my, Instagram. It is. But let's be honest now, depending on where you live in the world, a password is more or less you. It is access to you, your material, your bank account, your private financial setup. Everything is that. So I just want to say that a password is just not an access to Instagram. Who cares about Instagram, by the way? Yeah, you have your photos on, you stand there, you dance, or you TikTok or whatever. I don't really care about these kind of things. Of course, it is bad. It never should be breached, because you can still get a sense of what password you have. And now the problem arises, right? Did you reuse that password? Did you reuse that password for a particular purpose or case or account some other place? Did you do that? If the answer is yes, then a password is simply not just a character string of letters and signs, special characters. It is you. It is your privacy. So if you take that password, asking the question, what is the password, and you start talking about that is your privacy. It's your financial stuff. It is your economics. It is your bank account. It's your papers, everything, your mortgage, whatever you call it in your place you're from, right? So it is just so important that you have a good choice of password, because it is not just something that accesses like a web page, like in the good old 90s, where most stuff still used normal plastic cards. We all had real money in our pockets. Now, I haven't had a bill or coin in my pocket for years. Maybe I have had one, but then I gave it to my son because he feels that this physical money thing is still something that is fun. So he want to do that. But for us, for the grown-ups, right? And probably just for you that is also becoming grown up pretty soon. I don't know what age you are. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just saying that the more digital you become, the more the question, what is the password, have a meaning for you, and the more that will... I'm gonna explain it. I think I said it really good. But the older you grow, the password itself will become more and more important to you and your life and your access and everything you can do, right? So we did talk about what is the problem with passwords that are alike. So alike passwords. You have let's just assume that you have this small lock here, right? You have a small lock, and you take that lock and you shut it down, and then you take a key and you put it in. If I can do that on the screen, that is difficult. There you go, and then you unlock it, boom, and then it's locked. And then someday you take that key and say, oh, I want a new account. Then you say, I still have a good key. So I reuse that for the same account, or different account, sorry. Then you can open that. Now, what is the problem with that? It is not necessarily big problem. Depending on what is a password, how did you create it, how did you create your password? Did you create a long good password, like, or was it something like summer 21 or I am God 1 exclamation mark? Like, did you do it that way? So I would actually say that it is better for you to have one humongous big password you can remember in some way, like some big password that's just go like, whoa. If you have that big of a password and you use that on all your different accounts, well, I would say, that's probably better. But you gotta trust cautiously. If you cannot trust the service you're creating your account on, how can you trust they do actually hash that password and solve that password properly? Do they even use Pepper in a way for some hardware solution? What are they doing? Do they store the password properly? Now, is there some way then, if this is leaked, that hackers can reverse that hash, crack it easily without using 1,000 years, or 100,000 years, or 1,000,000,000 years, because you have a 65 character long password you can remember from your head, right? So that password doesn't really matter if it's not stored well enough. If you store the password in a database that is clear text, you're doomed. Doesn't really matter how long it is anymore. Hackers will have it. And I'm gonna, trust me, if at some point a hacker gets their hands on a very long password you created, they probably will think, oh, that guy really, created a good password. Probably a pretty good idea that is reused on other stuff, other accounts. And I would think the same way. So there are many different ways you can attack this scenario that I talk about. I'm going to get back to that later stage in the presentation. Now I want to talk about, and this is actually real passwords. And I'm really sorry that, I have no idea what these numbers are. I cannot say if any of these are parts or not parts of social security numbers. They're just numbers, and without knowing that, we can write a totally random combination of numbers and say, oh, that is someone's social security number, and who cares about that, right? That doesn't really matter. This is, without the actual context of the passwords, it doesn't really matter too much to us. What we can verify is that all these passwords are horrible bad. Okay, some of them is better than others, and I'm going to talk about this too. So what are we looking at here? These are actual copy-pastes from the analysis I created from the 1.4 billion passwords that I found. It is not a new thing, I just haven't been checking out for breached and leaked passwords for a very long time. I just accidentally someday like, oh, I'm going to search for that, and boom, there it is, and whoa, I have it. Okay, so you're going to see the very first password, 220569M, and the arrow says that became to this. Now, I cannot say if the left one or the right one from the arrow was the first or the last, but I can say that if you look at the difference, there's not much different. What is the chances that, let's say the fourth password, QVERTYUIOP, became to the same password with a 1 in the end? I would probably say like the left hand here in this particular case was the first one, and the second one was whenever you need to update your password. Okay, the person put a 1 in the end. So if you look closely on that password, that is actually just taking your finger on QWERTYUIOP and a 1. Well, that's all the letters in the combination from the keyboard, the normal keyboard, from the left hand to the right side, all the way before you hit either special characters on a Danish keyboard. I have the special character there. However, you probably do not. If you're from America, another place in the world, that's the way it is. So that's the first row of the 3 rows. But that's a row password, and I could probably easily just create a lot of different combinations like that and try them. Ambergris became to Ambergris 1. Sism. Sism. And I will say this. Became that to Sism 4. And leader 11 became to leader 111. And then you have the other side here where you find something like Claudia and Claudia 1, and that is just, names, and that is horrible. So you get this kind of weird combination of 46, 06, 73, 52, 03, 110, and you put an R in the end, which is probably at the update. It's a very rare case that people remove something, but it do happen that they got some sort of restrictions to their password and the length, and maybe it got different. Now they all need to have letters, then you put an R in the end. I don't know what this is really. It could be anything. It could be a phone number and a birth date. I don't really know. I don't really care. No reason to guess because it's out of context, so it's just numbers. But what we can get from this, what this analysis shows us is that, people are, let me just say this really slowly, horrible at creating passwords. Still is. And you probably guessed it that I'm kind of shocked in a way. I'm kind of mad also that the world haven't learned anything. It's just the same nonsense. I haven't really seen any good part. I looked through only 5,000. No, it's like less than 1%. But just looking through different kind of files with the password analyzed and attached to different email addresses, I just came to the conclusion really, really fast that I took an actual sample, different places, like sample. It's like, oh, I don't see anything that is like remotely good. You could probably say that the Gasanov 5997 is probably not that bad. You have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 characters, which is better than Claudia. I would say that, if you have to compare these two passwords, I would take this any day, but it is still kind of bad. You take this number, it's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 characters, right? And you have 14 characters. Now, if you took this right here, and you put some more letters in between and some special characters, it would become really good. But because this is just numbers, the actual combination range is actually pretty bad, because you only have 10 different numbers. Even in the alphabet, you have 26 or 29, or depending on where you are from the world, of course. It can vary. But, just having these kind of numbers or stuff like that, it doesn't really do any good. So I want to say, to try and end this slideshow here, to not the actual slide, but this page in the slide, is that there are so many similarities and people do not get it. They still put a 1 in the end, or just add a number in the front, and this number 1, I just copy pasted different places. I was really shocked that I met like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe 7 with the number 4, but 6 or 7 out of 10, 11 passwords. No, 12 passwords. That's more than 50% in a way for 7. That just put a number in the end. And then that must be good. It is no better than this. That's just altering the letter to capitalized V. It's like, what the... Yeah. Okay. From this, we're going to talk about password recommendations. So what we can do about, a good password is just, first of all, just create a long password. Just create a long password. Okay? Long password. Long password. Okay? Long password. Nothing less. Nothing more. Long passwords will be, always is the universal way to go. If you don't do that, that's really bad for you. I just put in like this letters and numbers and special characters. Use them. Do that. If you want to be like owning passwords, you do long passwords with these kind of things, and you exclude names, phone numbers, and whole words and stuff like that. You don't like, for example, cat 15 times. I actually I've seen that at some point. I did at one point see. Let me just show you that some people. Person password like cat. So what's 4 cats, 8 cats. So we want to delete 1. So we have 15 cats, right? and then 1. Is that a good password? Okay, so let's talk about this. Compared to the password from the prior page, the cat 1, right? And I don't hope to see a video with me saying cat on the internet, but you never know. I want to say that, I would rather take this than any of these. Probably, yeah. Maybe, no, I would still say cat because it's just a long cat word. I don't really believe that there is any password list that contain this password. However, it is not the best because it is just a repetition of cat, and 1. So I wouldn't really do that as a case. But if you force me to have an opinion about it, I'll probably take that compared to these. Any day. Yeah, probably. So long passwords. Use these kind of combination of basic characters, small letters, capitalized letters, numbers, and stuff like that. Exclude the names and phone numbers and pets or whatever you have. And you probably say so the long and the small road number 9 was 11 rows behind the 55th building. You can get something like that with the 15 length. It's as good a password. Now I just went Mario on. It's it's a good a password. Yeah. But what you're going to see here is... you have some issues. You have no capitalized letters. What you could do is you could remember this sentence and just write the whole sentence. That would be phenomenal, However, there's still some issues with the recommendations not using words. But I would rather take this whole password than any other password anyone I ever talked had. With had. Yeah, had. Not a hat, but you know what I mean. So maybe this is not for you. So you could also use another recommendation is say, could you use Superwoman, Man, Tin, Boat, Ship, Harbor, 1. Yeah, you could do that, but it's also difficult to remember because there's no vibe, no flow in it, but maybe it is for you. It's not bad. It's not the best either. But compared to having Summer 22 or Marie 1, whatever, or Claudia 1, I would take this any day. Any days. If you just did this, it would be way better than any of these. Always. Any day in the universe. Any day. Okay, so also recommendation number 3, you could use something like that. Now, I only chose 15 in length. No, this is just Jabberjash, whatever we're gonna call it. But this is actually really good and really difficult to crack. However, if you have more characters, and I would always recommend even more than 32. I know I'm that kind of guy saying, but Daniel, do you have any big password? I do have, and I did tell you about that. My main account, which shall not be named, do have a 30 plus character password. It's only in my head, by the way. So I would say, which would you need? How would you do that? So now comes the general idea about having a password manager, because I do have a mention of some you can use some names, or you can just use the one in Google browser and stuff. So we're going to talk about password managers. The problem with password managers is that people do not trust them enough. Is that the problem? Or they just don't want to use it, or they don't want to be reliant on it. So I think it's a combination more of that they do trust it, but they also know that there is some anxiety issues with most people. I assume it's my hypothesis, right? That people in general want to know their own password because they feel the better way. They don't trust the digital age of having passwords that just flow around, different places that is accessing whatever breached somewhere. Now that is the thing, because a good password manager should never be well, that's the thing, because most password managers do have some sort of breach in the past. And is that bad? Well, yes, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't use it. So I'm just saying that Password Manager is probably the way to go for you if you don't want to go down the lane of these kind of different recommendations I just gave you. Okay, so I want to say and end up this slideshow. The actual conclusion of it is that we need more focus on passwords. Spoiler alert, more focus on passwords. I said it, I'm gonna say it again, more focus on passwords. Alright? So stay safe out there, and please like, comment, do whatever you want to do with the video. Share it. If any questions, leave them below. I'm gonna get back to you as soon as I can. See you out there.